Hello, and welcome to the Chip Observer, the podcast where we look beyond the buzzwords and try to navigate the ins and outs of the semiconductor industry and explore how technology is evolving and transforming our daily lives. As always, we're presented by TechInsights, the definitive source for semiconductor analysis, with continued focus on growth and providing value to the industry. And to get the most out of this podcast, we suggest you subscribe and follow to get the latest news and updates. For more semiconductor details with a snapshot on the industry, we also invite you to visit our site at TechInsights.com and sign up for free and become a guest user. Though you'll gain access to our platform with complimentary reports, analysis, specialists, and industry-related news. On this episode, we dive into the latest issue of the Chip Observer monthly online periodical, a digital magazine we share our name with. This session covers everything from shifting geopolitics and process news to the booming business of AI and the rise of silicon photonics. We'd also like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank the authors of this issue, David McQueen and James Sanders, for sharing and publishing their insights. So, whether you're here for insight, foresight, or just a clearer picture of how technology is reshaping our world, you're in the right place. Now, regarding the geopolitical spectrum, the last month has been chaotic at the least, with the U.S. administration changing proposed tariffs almost daily. Although semiconductors have remained exempt so far, materials, capital equipment, and of course end markets are affected, making business planning difficult. The future of the CHIPS Act remains unclear, despite some in the current administration calling for it to be canceled, including President Trump at various points. It seems set to continue for the time being. It will be administered by a new body, the U.S. Investment Accelerator, within the Department of Commerce. That body has yet to be created, and it is unknown if any changes will be made to the act once it comes under its control. Regardless of this, business continues to move on with investments and growth, and the semiconductor equipment market still seems to have ended 2024 stronger than expected. TSMC and Hyundai have made significant manufacturing investments in the U.S. to address that market without tariffs. TSMC announced a further $100 billion investment in its site in Arizona to increase its capacity in the U.S. Hyundai's $21 billion investment includes a new $5.8 billion steelworks in Louisiana to supply Hyundai's plants in Alabama and Georgia, and $6 billion to expand partnerships with U.S. firms to develop technologies, including self-driving vehicles. However, it remains to be seen though if tariffs or other restrictions will impact capital equipment going to China, and semiconductor equipment orders have been flat so far this year. Advanced packaging is the only segment in the hot zone, driven by growing demand for AI and high-performance computing applications. Persistent macroeconomic challenges, including weak consumer sentiment, are likely to prompt cautious inventory management in Q1 2025. We have also noticed a buildup of inventory as firms seek to mitigate the potential impact of tariffs. Ongoing headwinds in non-HBM, DRAM, and NAND may drive inventories back up early in 2025, with non-memory inventories rising due to increased industry capacity, exacerbated by sluggish end market demand. This trend is expected to continue well into the first half of 2025. Given the slightly weaker market outlook and erring on the side of caution, we downgraded our fab utilization rate estimates to below 80% for the entire year of 2025, reflecting the prevailing softness in consumer demand. Pivoting towards everyone's favorite subject of the day, artificial intelligence and the business of AI. All eyes were on San Jose for Nvidia's GTC event, including unveiling their roadmap for the next 4 years, focused on the following: the Blackwell Ultra B300 GPU set for later this year, the next generation CPU and GPU Vera Rubin in 2026, talk of the Rubin Ultra GPUs for sometime in 2027, and Nvidia's future generation GPU Feynman targeted for sometime in 2028. Nvidia was shy about revealing details of its product lineup. B300 will feature 50% greater HBM3 memory and 50% greater FP4 compute than B200. Power requirements are increased to 1400 watts, a relatively modest increase from GB200's 1200 watts. Nvidia's upcoming top-of-the-range product, the Blackwell Ultra DGX SuperPod, will incorporate 288 Grace TPUs, 576B300 GPUs, 300 terabytes of HBM3 memory, and deliver 11.5 exaflops of FP4 compute. Rubin will double the physical size of Blackwell, with 4 reticle-sized die on a single package, and will include 1 terabyte of HBM4E memory. The SuperPods require 600 kilowatts of power, a 5-fold increase from its current generation GB200, putting further pressure on both power and cooling requirements in data centers. Other news from Nvidia included its Photonics switch platforms. We'll have more details on that in a little bit, along with announcements that it expects to spend $500 billion on manufacturing in the US, likely using TSMC's expanding capacity in Arizona, as mentioned earlier, referencing continued investments and growth. Other major AI announcements this month centered on acquisitions and investments. In contrast to the major government initiatives announced early, March was characterized by private investments. OpenAI announced a $40 billion round of investment, valuing the company at $300 billion. $30 billion of the investment is from SoftBank, and $10 billion from other investors, including existing investor Microsoft and several investment firms. Following this round, SoftBank is now the largest investor in OpenAI, overtaking Microsoft. The $40 billion deal is believed to be the largest ever single round of private financing. That wasn't SoftBank's only activity. The company acquired Ampere Computing for $6.5 billion. Ampere is a fabless company designing ARM-based high-performance computing devices. Although SoftBank divested some of its stake in ARM as part of ARM's IPO last year, it remains a major investor in ARM. Qualcomm acquired Edge Impulse, a software and model provider for Edge AI implementations. The Edge AI segment was a growth area for Qualcomm in 2024, with revenues growing 36%. As always, there are a multitude of reports and daily insights published on the TechInsights platform reflecting these details and more, available to all platform users. Now for some interesting, and some may say exciting news regarding silicon photonics. Silicon photonics, or Si-Pho, saw significant traction in the last month, although its AI accelerators were the star of the show. Nvidia had other announcements at GCC, including the use of Si-Pho optical interconnects to support enterprise AI deployments. Spectrum X Photonics Ethernet switches deliver a total throughput of 400 terabits per second, while Quantum X Photonics InfiniBand switches provide 144 ports of gigabits per second InfiniBand, based on 200 gigabits per second SER does, and uses a liquid-cooled design. Although not exclusively Si-Pho, Marvell's silicon IP platform includes Si-Pho and other features aimed at developing custom AI accelerators, CPU-used optical DSPs, high-performance switches, and other data center technologies. One novel feature is 3D simultaneous bidirectional I/O operating at speeds up to 6.4 gigabits per second for connecting vertically stacked die inside chiplet architected devices. It's built on TSMC's 2nm process, which has recently become available. STMicroelectronics has also announced the availability of its 55nm by CMOS 55's Si-Pho process to external customers. The company launched a new device manufactured on this process, the PIC100 pluggable optical transceiver, which delivers 200 gigabits per second per lane capability. ST also announced the upcoming availability of its next-generation processed by CMOS 55X, which uses silicon germanium and is expected to improve efficiency by 15%. ST did not announce a date for availability of the by CMOS 55X process, and ST's Si-Pho research team has clearly been busy. The company also announced that through silicon vias, or TSBs, will be incorporated into the Si-Pho platform to enable direct connection to GPU chiplets. Lastly, Google subsidiary Tara unveiled their novel optical point-to-point communication system LightBridge at MWC 2025. Capable of providing data speeds of 20 gigabits per second over distances of 20 kilometers. Originally part of Project Loon, Google's abandoned balloon-based infrastructure play, The technology has been scaled down dramatically in size by leveraging silicon photonics, removing the need for moving mirrors and powerful light sources. It goes without saying that our analysts will be keeping a close eye on photonic evolution overall. In closing, as we've seen in this month's edition of the Chip Observer publication, the semiconductor industry continues to be shaped by a complex interplay of politics, economic uncertainty, and groundbreaking innovation. From shifting U.S. tariff policies and the evolving CHIPS Act to record-breaking private investments in AI and the rise of silicon photonics, there's no shortage of momentum or intrigue. Despite macroeconomic headwinds and cautious forecasts, the future remains undeniably dynamic, with AI advancing at an unprecedented pace and photonics poised to reshape data transmission. It's clear that the semiconductor industry is not only adapting, but actively defining what's next. Thank you for joining us on this monthly recap into process news, global developments, and the ever-expanding frontier of technology. Again, we'd like to thank our analysts and authors, David McQueen and James Sanders, for sharing their notes and insights on these ever-evolving innovations. Note, the contents discussed here today were for informational purposes only and don't reflect views or opinions of the institutions or organizations mentioned. And as always, be sure to follow us, subscribe for updates, and explore more in-depth analysis at TechInsights.com. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and stay insightful.